Hi everyone, as we muse about this upcoming 2016 for Flesh and Spirit community and for our brothers, we're inviting you into kind of the basics of the work that we've created in Flesh and Spirit. And a number of years ago, I had kind of this download of inspiration, and 5 different archetypes were given to me, and then a 6th one was actually kind of finished it all off. But what I heard in my kind of meditative download was these archetypes were to help usher in the new consciousness. And my awareness has been that these archetypes we've used in Flesh and Spirit with queer men. We've used it in our work called The Missing Thread with entrepreneurs and healers and change agents. But it's these archetypes really are the embodiment of what the ecstatic path is and what our work, I think, is on the planet today. So I'm going to tell you about the archetypes as we come into 2016 in Flesh and Spirit. We're going to play more fully and maybe deeper and muse inside of these archetypes in ways that maybe we haven't before in the past. So I want to tell you about them. So the first archetype is the peaceful warrior. And I'd have you think about, being a peaceful warrior, which simply means one who's willing to face one's fears, one who's willing to know oneself. That the peaceful warrior is you, in all of your coming outs in your life. You have been a peaceful warrior, and especially as a gay or queer man, you clearly are. And as we develop our work around being peaceful warriors this year, I want you to think about who you are as a peaceful warrior and who are your heroes as peaceful warriors. The other second archetype that we play with in our community a lot is called the lover. And when I think of the lover, I think of my own beloved Donnie, and how he is such an exuberant embracer of life. When you meet him, he greets you, he welcomes you, he gives you big hugs and exuberant kisses. He's the lover, and he really comes from a place of heart. So the lover is really the archetype about dropping our griefs so that we can be available to levels of intimacy and kinds of intimacy in our world. As queer men and as people throughout the world right now, don't we need more lover energy rather than conflict and war energy? The third archetype is called the sacred prostitute. I'm jumping ahead of myself. The sacred prostitute. And the sacred prostitute is really the archetype about dropping our shame about our bodies, our sexual orientations, the way we live, that has been taboo in the past and continues to be by some people taboo. But we bring our body into service and loving the world. And the sacred prostitute, the ancient wisdom about the sacred prostitute was simply that he or she was the embodiment of expressing the erotic and the spiritual as one and the same, and really bringing that energy to bring about healing. And so the sacred prostitutes of old were healers. And I think if there's any tribe on the planet that knows something about this old mythical image and archetype, it is clearly the queer tribe. Now, the fourth one is called the elder. And the elder, here we go, the elder really is the one who's willing to step up and take his place in the community, to be the teacher, to bring the wisdom, to be the wisdom keeper in the community. And who are your elder heroes as you think of us as gay queer men, and how are you already the teacher of wisdom that you have to bring? And the elder archetype is all about dropping our feelings of not belonging so that we really can step into leadership. then after the elder comes the mystic. And the mystic I love, which is, the mystics throughout time and throughout all religious traditions have stepped out of their traditions because they were one with the Great Spirit. They were one with God, the divine, with all of creation. And so there was no separation. And love was always the thing that was their religion. It was greater than any tradition or any box. And I think as queer men, we know a lot about the potential of that because we've come from all tribes and all traditions. So our capacity, at least, to love across all spectrums is really there. And yet the thing that holds back the mystic oftentimes is the fear of being foolish, because mysticism is pretty foolish business. It looks silly to a lot of people in the world. So may we be silly in 2016 in ways that bring about more of love and peace and connection to our heart's desires. And then the final archetype is the prophet or prophetess, depending on our gender or our fluidity of genders of who we are. But the prophet is the message bearer, and the prophet actually has his or her own kind of unique message to bring to the world. And in our community of Flesh and Spirit, just the fact that we do kind of cutting edge work around mind, body, spirit, erotic, communal, change the world ideologies and philosophies and spiritualities. We are all the time being prophetic because the world wants to constrict and put things into nice little tidy boxes, where our box is really about opening the circle and making things bigger. So our prophetic message is really a radically inclusive message. And the prophet, though, always gets in his or her way because they need to be right. So they have a message, but they're afraid to put it out there because they want to be right. And oftentimes, Spirit calls us just to give the message, not to be constricted around and attached around whether the message is true or not, or whether it's going to be received or not by other people. So the need for our approval gets dropped as we really stand into, are we willing to be prophetic? And we need a lot of prophetic voices in 2016 to make this world to be the more harmonious place that we want. So, Happy New Year. And as we think about this new year, these 6 archetypes are going to guide us in our work and our play in Flesh and Spirit. Namaste.